In every relationship, there comes a time when everything feels perfectly in sync. The laughter, the shared moments, the dreams for the future. But what happens when that once effortless connection starts to fade? One of the most telling signs that something might be amiss is the gradual shift in how you and your partner approach the future together. At first, the topic of what lies ahead might feel exciting. Plans for a vacation, future career aspirations, or even discussions about moving in together. But when these conversations begin to disappear, when every mention of the future is met with silence or avoidance, it's more than just an awkward moment. It's a red flag. You may find yourself asking, why won't we talk about the future anymore? Wasn't that the whole point of being in this relationship, to build something together? If the idea of discussing your future feels uncomfortable, or worse, if your partner keeps deflecting the conversation, it could be an indication that they're no longer as committed to building that future with you. And you may be left wondering why. Is it because the spark has faded? Are there deeper insecurities or fears at play? Or is it simply a sign that you're both drifting apart? This avoidance can feel like a quiet, invisible wall being built between you and your partner, brick by brick. You may begin to feel uncertain, perhaps even questioning your place in their life. When the future isn't something you can plan together, you may start to realize that you're both stuck in the present, unwilling to move forward, unwilling to invest in what could be. It's like being on a journey with someone, only to realize they no longer want to take the same path. The truth is, conversations about the future are not just about practical plans. They're about shared dreams, mutual investment, and the unspoken bond that says, I'm in this for the long haul. When those discussions become taboo, it's like a quiet signal that the relationship may not be as solid as you thought. You might feel a creeping anxiety, wondering if this is just a temporary phase, or if it's the beginning of something much more significant. It's normal to feel concerned when your once vivid dreams about your relationship's future start to feel distant, like they're slipping through your fingers. But here's the thing. This shift doesn't always happen overnight. It often sneaks up on you, starting with small signs, subtle changes in how your partner responds when you bring up future plans, or a lack of enthusiasm for ideas that once brought excitement. As this pattern continues, it can be emotionally disorienting, leaving you questioning whether your partner is truly on the same page as you, or if they've already begun to emotionally check out. As hard as it may be to admit, avoiding future conversations is one of the clearest indicators that your relationship might not be evolving in the way you hoped. It's not just about making future plans. It's about creating a sense of security and direction in the relationship. When that sense of direction is lost, the relationship can feel aimless. And you may begin to wonder if there's still a shared vision or a shared commitment to making things work. So, if you've noticed that your partner has become increasingly uncomfortable with the idea of talking about the future, you're not alone. Many people have faced this situation, and it's important to recognize it for what it is, a crucial moment to evaluate where you both stand and what you both truly want. Ignoring the issue won't make it go away. It will only continue to leave you in emotional limbo, unsure of what comes next. Let's dive deeper into why avoiding the future might be happening in your relationship and what it means for both of you. 1. They avoid spending time with you. When your partner starts avoiding spending time with you, it's often a sign that something is shifting in the relationship. Initially, you might think they are just busy with work or other commitments, but the avoidance can become more frequent and noticeable over time. Instead of making an effort to be with you or find moments to connect, they seem to find reasons to be elsewhere, whether it's staying late at work, going out with friends more often, or simply withdrawing to spend time alone. This shift can leave you feeling neglected and confused, questioning whether it's something you did, or if their feelings are changing. It's not just about the physical presence, but the emotional absence as well. When a partner starts avoiding time together, they often no longer prioritize your bond the way they used to. You might have noticed that they no longer initiate plans, or when you suggest doing something together, they often decline or act disinterested. It's important to observe if this behavior is a consistent pattern rather than a temporary phase. A lack of quality time can signal that they are either emotionally disengaging from the relationship, or they might be seeking space to avoid facing deeper issues they don't want to confront. Emotional distance often grows when there's less time spent connecting, sharing experiences, or simply enjoying each other's company. If you find yourself always alone, despite your efforts to spend time together, it's essential to reflect on whether this avoidance is a sign of a deeper emotional disconnect. In healthy relationships, both partners actively engage and make time for each other. When one partner continuously pulls away, it can leave the other feeling unimportant, unsure of the future, and deeply hurt. 2. Communication feels forced and one-sided. When communication in a relationship becomes forced and one-sided, it indicates that the emotional connection is weakening. In the beginning, conversations flow easily, with both partners sharing their thoughts, feelings, and experiences. However, when one person begins to emotionally withdraw or lose interest, communication often feels strained and mechanical. You may find yourself doing most of the talking, with your partner providing short or unengaged responses. When you speak, you might feel like you're talking to a wall, as if they're physically present but emotionally checked out. On the other hand, if they do speak, it may seem like they're simply responding out of obligation rather than genuine interest in the conversation. This imbalance can lead to frustration, as one person feels as though they are putting in all the effort to keep the dialogue going, while the other seems to be passively participating. In many cases, the person who is withdrawing from the conversation may not want to confront uncomfortable feelings, or might be avoiding deep discussions about the relationship's issues. They might shy away from any emotional vulnerability or difficult topics, leaving their partner to carry the emotional burden of maintaining communication. Over time, this one-sided communication can lead to emotional exhaustion for the person who feels like they're constantly trying to engage. If communication becomes forced, it can feel like a chore rather than an enjoyable exchange, and the intimacy in the relationship starts to erode. Important conversations, whether about the future, feelings, or everyday life, become difficult, and partners may begin to avoid them altogether. This breakdown in communication not only signals a lack of emotional connection, but also creates further distance, making it even harder to rebuild the relationship later on. 3. Physical affection has become rare or awkward. Physical affection is a crucial part of most romantic relationships, as it helps to strengthen the emotional bond and create intimacy. When this affection becomes rare or awkward, it often signals that the emotional connection is diminishing and the partners may be drifting apart. In the beginning of a relationship, gestures like holding hands, hugging, kissing, or simply being close to each other come naturally. These actions are an expression of love, comfort, and closeness. However, when physical affection becomes rare, it can feel unsettling. Small touches, which once seemed effortless, are now infrequent or non-existent. The absence of these affectionate gestures may make both partners feel distant and unsupported. In some cases, physical affection may not only become rare, but also awkward. What once felt natural and comfortable now feels forced or uncomfortable. A simple hug might feel stiff or distant, or a kiss might lack the warmth it used to have. The awkwardness arises when there is an underlying tension or discomfort that prevents the natural flow of affection. This could be due to unresolved emotional issues, a growing lack of interest, or feelings of resentment that have not been addressed. This change can also occur when one partner is emotionally withdrawing from the other. They may feel disconnected and, as a result, are no longer interested in expressing physical affection. It might even happen unconsciously, as they are focusing more on their own needs and less on maintaining the intimacy in the relationship. When physical affection becomes rare or awkward, it leaves both partners questioning where the connection went. It can also create feelings of insecurity, as one partner may wonder if they are still loved or desired. The absence of affection can feel like a loss, especially when both partners had once been physically close. This shift often reflects a deeper emotional disconnect that may need to be addressed before it leads to further distance in the relationship. When a partner stops sharing their thoughts and feelings, it often leads to the feeling of emotional neglect. The communication that once fostered connection now feels absent, leaving the other partner to wonder if they are still truly understood or valued. This lack of transparency can make it difficult to address any underlying issues in the relationship, creating further distance and making it harder to reconnect. 5. Your conversations feel more like business transactions than intimate exchanges. When conversations in a relationship start to feel more like business transactions than intimate exchanges, it often signals that the emotional closeness between partners is diminishing. Initially, relationships thrive on open, warm communication that is filled with emotional support, shared experiences, and personal connection. However, when your talks become routine, dry, and impersonal, it can feel as if you're simply going through the motions without any real depth or affection. In these situations, communication often revolves around practical matters, like schedules, chores, or plans, without much room for vulnerability or emotional sharing. For example, you might find yourselves discussing daily logistics, such as what to make for dinner, or when to pick up groceries, rather than having meaningful conversations about each other's lives, feelings, or dreams. The topics become focused on functional aspects of life, leaving little space for intimate or personal exchanges. This shift can happen gradually over time, especially when one or both partners are emotionally withdrawn. When there is little emotional investment in the conversation, it can start to feel transactional, like you're merely handling duties rather than nurturing a bond. You might feel like you're merely managing the relationship rather than truly living it, and this can lead to a growing sense of disconnect. The lack of emotional depth in conversations can create a sense of loneliness, even when you're physically present with each other. Instead of feeling heard, understood, and supported, you may start to feel more like roommates or acquaintances than romantic partners. This shift not only erodes the emotional intimacy in the relationship, but also leaves both partners feeling disconnected, unable to address deeper issues or desires. When your conversations feel like business transactions, it's a clear sign that the emotional foundation of the relationship is weakening. Without the nurturing of deep, meaningful conversations, the connection between partners may start to fade, leaving room for further emotional detachment. The relationship becomes functional rather than emotionally fulfilling, which can lead to frustration, confusion, and ultimately, a loss of intimacy. 6. They stop showing interest in your life or daily activities. When a partner stops showing interest in your life or daily activities, it often indicates a shift in the emotional investment within the relationship. In the early stages, a partner is typically curious about your day, your experiences, and your feelings. They ask questions, listen attentively, and engage with your stories, showing that they care about you and your well-being. However, when this interest fades, it can feel like you're no longer a priority in their life. This change can manifest in different ways. For example, your partner may stop asking how your day went or showing curiosity about your work, hobbies, or personal achievements. They may become less engaged when you try to share updates or stories, offering minimal responses like, "That's nice," or "I see," without further engagement. Conversations that once felt like an exchange of mutual interest may begin to feel one-sided, leaving you feeling unseen and unimportant. This lack of interest can be especially hurtful because it suggests emotional detachment. When someone cares about you, they naturally want to be involved in the details of your life, as it helps them understand you better and strengthens the bond between you. If your partner no longer asks about your day or engages with you about your activities, it could signify that they are no longer emotionally invested or that they are pulling away from the relationship. At times, this disinterest may not even be intentional. Your partner could be dealing with their own struggles or distractions, causing them to unintentionally neglect your needs for emotional connection. However, if this lack of engagement becomes a pattern, it can feel like they are no longer willing to make the effort to be involved in your life. When a partner stops showing interest in your life, it can create feelings of loneliness and isolation, even if you are physically close. You may begin to question your worth in their eyes, wondering why they no longer care about the things that matter to you. This emotional distance can gradually erode the foundation of the relationship, as the lack of mutual engagement makes it difficult to maintain a meaningful, connected partnership. 7. You feel alone, even when you're together. Feeling alone, even when you're together, is one of the most painful signs of emotional disconnection in a relationship. In a healthy, loving relationship, the presence of your partner should bring comfort, security, and a sense of belonging. However, when you feel isolated or disconnected, even when you're physically with your partner, it often indicates that the emotional intimacy has diminished. This feeling of loneliness can occur when there is a lack of emotional engagement, or when the bond that once made you feel close has weakened. You might be sitting next to each other watching TV or even sharing a meal, yet there's a palpable sense of distance between you. The silence that fills the space doesn't feel comfortable or peaceful. It feels cold and disconnected. There may be no meaningful conversation, no shared laughter, and no mutual understanding. You're physically present, but emotionally worlds apart. The feeling of loneliness can also arise when your partner is emotionally withdrawn, either by choice or due to personal struggles. You may feel like you're giving, hoping for emotional connection, but your partner is unavailable, whether mentally, emotionally, or even physically. They might be preoccupied with their own thoughts or distractions, leaving you feeling like you're putting in all the effort while receiving little in return. This imbalance can deepen the sense of loneliness, as it makes you feel invisible or unimportant. Another reason you might feel alone, even in the same space, is if your partner's emotional support has waned. When they stop listening to you, offering comfort, or sharing their own vulnerabilities, the relationship becomes more like a routine. Without the emotional connection, the relationship can start to feel empty, and being together no longer provides the fulfillment it once did. This emotional isolation can be deeply frustrating, as it leaves you wondering why, despite being in the same relationship, you're still feeling so alone. You may question your worth or wonder if your partner truly cares for you. Over time, this feeling can breed resentment and sadness, as you long for the closeness and connection that once defined the relationship. When you feel alone in a relationship, it's often a sign that deeper issues need to be addressed before the gap between you widens further. 8. There's a noticeable lack of trust or respect. A noticeable lack of trust or respect in a relationship is one of the most damaging signs that things are going wrong. Trust and respect are the foundational pillars that support any healthy partnership, and when these elements begin to erode, the entire relationship can start to unravel. Trust is the belief that your partner will act in your best interests, keep their promises, and remain loyal. When trust diminishes, you might start feeling uncertain about your partner's intentions or actions. Small things, like catching them in a lie or noticing inconsistencies in what they say, may become bigger issues over time. The doubt creeps in, and you start questioning whether you can count on them. It may feel like there's a constant need for reassurance, or worse, you may find yourself second-guessing everything they do or say. Without trust, there is no emotional security, and the relationship feels shaky. Respect goes hand in hand with trust, and it's crucial for a balanced, harmonious relationship. When respect is lacking, it can manifest in many ways: dismissive behavior, belittling comments, or disregard for your boundaries and feelings. You may find that your partner no longer listens to your opinions, undermines your decisions, or treats you as less important. Disrespect can also be seen in how they speak to you, whether through harsh words, sarcasm, or even neglecting to value your time and efforts. When both trust and respect begin to fade, it creates a toxic atmosphere where both partners feel unappreciated and insecure. Arguments become more frequent, and disagreements escalate into personal attacks rather than healthy discussions. The absence of respect and trust can leave both people feeling unsupported and unloved, making it difficult to move forward or resolve conflicts in a constructive way. A relationship without trust and respect becomes a breeding ground for resentment. You may start to feel like you're walking on eggshells, afraid that anything you say or do will be misinterpreted or devalued. This environment of constant tension can take a serious toll on your emotional health, making it nearly impossible to feel safe or valued in the relationship. Without these vital components, it's hard to envision a future together, as both partners are left questioning whether they truly matter to each other. If this lack of trust and respect persists, it may signal that the relationship is beyond repair unless both individuals are willing to actively work on rebuilding these essential foundations. 9. They frequently cancel plans or make excuses. When your partner frequently cancels plans or constantly makes excuses, it can signal a shift in their commitment or interest in the relationship. Initially, couples look forward to spending time together, and plans are made with excitement and anticipation. However, when cancellations and excuses become a regular occurrence, it creates a sense of disappointment, frustration, and emotional distance. In many cases, the repeated cancellation of plans suggests that the person no longer prioritizes the relationship in the same way. They may be pulling away or have lost interest in spending quality time with you. When plans are continuously cancelled or rescheduled at the last minute, it feels like your time and efforts aren't being valued. You might begin to feel unimportant, as if your partner is no longer invested in sharing experiences or building memories together. Excuses can range from trivial reasons like, "I'm too tired," or "I have too much work," to more significant explanations that still leave you questioning whether they are truly being honest with you. If these excuses are frequent and seem to lack genuine concern or effort to make things right, it can leave you feeling like you're always the one trying to make the relationship work, while your partner is withdrawing. Another aspect to consider is that frequent cancellations may indicate that your partner is finding fulfillment or comfort elsewhere. Whether it's through work, other social engagements, or potentially even another relationship, a partner who constantly cancels plans may be avoiding emotional connection or distancing themselves from the relationship for reasons they are unwilling or unable to share. The emotional toll of constantly being let down can be significant. Each time plans are cancelled, it chips away at your trust and belief that the relationship still holds value for both of you. Over time, this can create a pattern where you stop feeling excited or hopeful about future plans, as you've become conditioned to expect disappointment. In the long run, this behavior can lead to feelings of loneliness, neglect, and resentment, as you start to feel like you're investing more in the relationship than your partner is. When this behavior becomes consistent, it may be a sign that the emotional bond is weakening and that there may be deeper issues that need to be addressed to revive the connection. 10. You no longer feel appreciated or valued. When you no longer feel appreciated or valued in a relationship, it can be one of the most heartbreaking experiences. Appreciation is a fundamental aspect of any healthy partnership, as it reaffirms that both individuals are seen, heard, and respected. In the beginning, couples often express gratitude for one another's efforts, whether it's a kind gesture, a thoughtful word, or a simple act of love. However, when these expressions of appreciation fade, it can leave one partner feeling neglected, unimportant, and invisible. This lack of appreciation can manifest in different ways. For example, you may find that your efforts go unnoticed or unacknowledged. Whether it's something as small as making dinner or something larger like planning a special date, you might feel like your contributions are taken for granted. When your partner no longer shows gratitude for what you do, it creates a sense of emotional emptiness, as if you're giving without receiving anything in return. In a similar vein, feeling unappreciated can also arise when your partner stops complimenting you, recognizing your strengths, or offering encouragement. It's common in healthy relationships for partners to build each other up, celebrate each other's achievements, and offer words of support during difficult times. When this ceases, it can create a sense of emotional abandonment, where you feel like you're no longer important to the person you care about. This lack of value can also show up in the way your partner treats you on a daily basis. If they consistently disregard your needs, dismiss your feelings, or take advantage of your kindness, it may signal a deeper lack of respect. You may begin to feel like you're giving more to the relationship than you're receiving, leading to feelings of resentment and frustration. When you no longer feel appreciated or valued, it can lead to a growing sense of disconnection. You may start questioning your worth within the relationship, wondering if you matter to your partner at all. This emotional neglect can take a toll on your self-esteem and make it difficult to stay emotionally engaged in the relationship. Over time, you may even begin to emotionally withdraw, as the lack of appreciation and value can erode the foundation of trust and affection that once existed. 11. They prioritize others over you without explanation. When your partner consistently prioritizes others over you without explanation, it can create a deep sense of confusion and hurt. In a committed relationship, the expectation is that both partners will make each other a priority, especially in times of need or important events. However, when your partner continually chooses friends, family, or even strangers over you and offers no clear reasoning for their decisions, it can lead to feelings of being neglected, unimportant, and unappreciated. This behavior often suggests that the emotional connection is no longer as strong as it once was. In healthy relationships, it's common for partners to discuss their schedules, commitments, and obligations, working together to ensure that time is balanced and that both individuals feel valued. However, when one partner starts making decisions that favor others without consulting or considering the other, it may reflect a shift in priorities. For example, if your partner consistently cancels plans with you in favor of hanging out with friends or family, or if they go out of their way to help others while neglecting your needs, it can leave you feeling sidelined. You may wonder why their attention and effort are directed elsewhere, while you're left feeling secondary or forgotten. The absence of any explanation or discussion only heightens the emotional impact, as it feels like you're being left in the dark. This behavior can feel especially hurtful if you've been there for your partner during difficult times, offering support and understanding. When they begin to prioritize others without any acknowledgement of your own efforts or needs, it can create a sense of imbalance in the relationship. It may also lead to feelings of doubt about your place in their life and whether the relationship is truly a priority for them. Over time, this lack of consideration can lead to resentment and emotional distance. The partner who feels neglected may begin to withdraw, either emotionally or physically, as they realize they cannot rely on the other for support or companionship. The relationship may start to feel one-sided, as if the emotional investment isn't mutual. If this pattern continues without explanation or effort to address the underlying issues, it may indicate that the emotional bond is weakening, and both partners need to have an open and honest conversation about their needs, expectations, and feelings. Without this communication, the relationship could continue to deteriorate, leaving one or both partners feeling lost and unimportant. 12. There's a constant feeling of tension or discomfort around them. When there's a constant feeling of tension or discomfort around your partner, it suggests that the emotional atmosphere in the relationship has shifted significantly. Relationships should provide a sense of safety, comfort, and connection. But when tension becomes a regular presence, it creates an environment where both partners feel on edge. This discomfort can manifest in various ways, from feeling nervous or anxious in your partner's presence to experiencing a constant undercurrent of negativity that makes interactions feel stressful or draining. This tension often arises when unresolved issues or unspoken concerns are not addressed. You may find yourself walking on eggshells, unsure of how to approach certain topics, or how your partner will react to what you say or do. The fear of triggering an argument, receiving a cold response, or facing criticism can create an atmosphere where communication becomes difficult and small issues escalate quickly. The tension may not always be overt or dramatic. Sometimes it's more subtle, like an underlying unease that lingers even in quiet moments. This discomfort can also stem from a lack of emotional connection or unresolved conflicts that have been swept under the rug. When issues are ignored or brushed aside, they tend to fester, leading to passive-aggressive behavior, silent treatments, or moments of abrupt irritation. Every conversation or interaction feels like it could trigger an argument, and it becomes harder to maintain a sense of peace or harmony. Additionally, this tension can be a sign that one or both partners are not feeling heard or understood. If you're not able to express your feelings or concerns without fear of judgment or dismissal, it can lead to a sense of emotional disconnection. Over time, this discomfort becomes draining, making it harder to enjoy your time together and eroding the emotional intimacy that once existed. A constant feeling of tension or discomfort can be exhausting, as it prevents both partners from fully relaxing or being themselves. It can also lead to emotional burnout, as you start to feel that you're always on alert, trying to navigate the relationship's difficulties without a clear resolution in sight. If this tension persists, it often means that deeper issues need to be addressed. Without honest communication and effort from both sides, the emotional strain will likely continue to grow, making the relationship more difficult to sustain. 13. You both avoid talking about the future together. When both partners avoid talking about the future together, it is often a clear indication that the relationship is lacking a sense of long-term commitment or shared vision. In healthy relationships, couples naturally discuss future plans, whether it's related to career goals, living arrangements, travel, or even family planning. These conversations help build a sense of unity, direction, and mutual investment in the relationship. However, when the topic of the future is repeatedly avoided, it may signal uncertainty, emotional distance, or reluctance to fully commit. This avoidance of future conversations can take many forms. One partner may change the subject when the future is mentioned, or the other may simply remain silent, indicating a lack of interest or unwillingness to engage. If either person seems uncomfortable or dismissive when the topic comes up, it can suggest that they are not envisioning a life together or do not feel emotionally invested in the long term. This reluctance to discuss the future could also stem from fear, unresolved issues, or doubts about the relationship's longevity. Avoiding future talks might also imply that there's a lack of trust or security in the relationship. If one or both partners are hesitant to make plans together, they may be subconsciously protecting themselves from potential heartbreak or disappointment. It can create an emotional distance where neither person is willing to fully open up about their hopes, desires, or long-term goals because they are unsure of the other's commitment or alignment. This pattern can also lead to feelings of confusion and insecurity. When the future is never discussed, it's difficult to gauge where the relationship is heading. You may start to question whether your partner sees a future with you, or if they are simply living in the moment without any intention of building something long-lasting. Over time, this uncertainty can erode the sense of stability and connection that a relationship needs to thrive. Without clear communication about the future, it becomes harder to plan together, make meaningful decisions, or feel secure in the partnership. If this avoidance persists, it may signal that the relationship is not progressing or evolving as it should. For a relationship to flourish, both partners need to feel confident and open about their shared future and be willing to work toward a common goal. If this is missing, it can lead to growing emotional distance and, ultimately, the disintegration of the bond that once existed.